Peace, family. This is your Mende brother Hindawa. In this video, I'll be attempting to put together the origin story of the Mende, um, coming out of the Southwest Mande speaking people. The Mende people of Sierra Leone and Liberia. We'll be going over some of the, history and the migration route of these people. I'm no historian or anything, so my information is up for any type of correction. If you guys have any information to add on or any corrections, feel free to jump in the inbox and and we can go over it. At the end of the day, we all just looking for the truth. So this is just my humble attempt to put together some history. Just a brother who did a DNA test and found it. It came from the Mende people, and traveled there. Ever since then, I've been putting together information, reading, and doing a little research. So this is just my humble attempt. So let's dive right in. And in this book right here, Jobachia Chua. It's a book about the Liberian history, and in this book it gives more so a history of the Loma people of Liberia, and as I was saying, when you talk about one group, you can't really do the history or talk about the history of the Mende people, research the history of the Mende people without researching other groups, because all of these groups are interrelated in somehow, way or another. They all have shared ancestry. So when researching one group, you have to look into the history of the other group. They all testify of one another. So this book is very important, and if you can, take a look at it when you get a chance. So if we can dive right into this, I'd like to show how these people in Mali, they came from a Mende, so-called Mende principality. Now, I'm not trying to pretend or try and show, that the Mende were a unified group at this time. This was in the 1500s. So when they say Mende or Mende, I believe they're speaking of the Southwest Mande speaking people. They were somehow involved in the empire as well. As you can see, Mali started to decline, and to these groups it was time to bail. So, as these groups started to come down, these groups including the Mende speaking people of the empire. Within these Mende speaking people, you have the Loma, ethnic group. But, I don't want to give the impression that the Mende were a consolidated, nation state at this time, because they weren't. They're talking about the Southwest Mande speaking people, and in Liberia, they would call these groups Mende. The Bele, the Loma, the Bandi, these were Mende speaking, at one time. Don't want to give the impression, like I said, that the Mende were a unified people at this time. But as you can see, the Liberians, according to the Liberians, they say they came from a Mende principality, and they followed a man named Fali Kama. This Fali Kama was a Mende prince, and he had a quarrel, and his brothers, kinsmen, they tried to we'll get into him a little later, but this is the man who all of these groups have a shared ancestry from. He was actually the son of Sumaka Kamara, who was a nephew of Sumaguru Kanti, the enemy of Sundiata. He actually switched sides and helped Sundiata defeat Sumaguru Kanti. And This is how an alliance was formed. This is basically, um, this could also be considered the Kamara migration. Now, as you can see, his father Sumakai, and what's interesting is, one of his names was Masini. What's interesting is, depending on the language of a people, that Masini would sound like a Masiri, a Masili, you know what I mean, as in Masili Ko or Masari Ko. I don't know, that's just, a speculation, I'm not sure, but these are just the little things that, I kind of, been looking at. But as you can see, Phony Gama's, he was so young at the time of him leaving. His father saw him as a favorite and gave him a horn. So he was inheriting the throne, but he was too young. So the horn was given to his mother to protect. So a lot of people have said that Masariko was Phony Gama's mother. Whether that's true, I don't know. We haven't, we don't have enough information to kind of, but I do believe that she was involved somewhere in this story. Very important. I just wanted to throw that in. So Phony Gama, being too young to inherit the throne, the horn was given to his mother. And what's interesting is she was from Nezakaro, and that's right down by the borderline of Guinea and Cote d'Ivoire, right in that little territory. But it's by a place called Bela, Musudu, and there's a place called Barete or Bete, and Montserrico was called Mabete. So it's just very interesting, you know what I mean, how this stuff kind of lines up. Here, I just want to show that these people were indeed speaking a Mende language. Formosia, the Sia on the end of Formosia is a Mende plural marker. And the word Kamo is actually, the word for teacher in Mende. And as you can see, Kamo is a Mori or a jelly. He performed magic, he performed all type of, miraculous things. Like all other cultures and traditions, our people took historical figures and made them mythological heroes, basically. Excuse me. And, this is just the account of our people. And I think it's very interesting, and you guys should really take a look at it. So, Phony Gama's original homeland was southwest Mali, northeast Guinea. And so he moved down to a place called Musudu, which was settled by another very important individual named Zo Musa. Zo Musa was Bele, and he's basically, there's shared ancestry between the Bele and the Gola, maybe even the Kizi and other groups, excuse me, in that area. And, so when Phony Gama came down, him being an Islamist, and, the area being more of an animist area, this area was the Conian highlands. And, there was some quarrels, a lot of things happening, and to be honest, Zo Musa and Phony Gama really didn't even meet each other. They were hundreds of years apart, but they're talking about the people and the cultures clashing. So there were other settlements that were popping up, and people were unsettled, these people, and this is what started basically what they called a rolling war, in the highlands of Conian, or the Conian highlands. And the word Conian is basically a Bele word. This was the Bele homeland, basically, the place where they migrated from Ouagadougou and settled, and this became their homeland, which is basically the mouth of the Niger River. This is a map of the Malian Empire from Timbuktu all the way down to Musudu, and what it's showing you is basically it was a trade route. So Musudu, the Conian highlands, was a very important territory. So what it doesn't show you it's behind it is there's a bunch of rivers that lead to the sea as well. So this is where the empire was getting, some of its salt, some of its gold, most, if not all, of its cola nut. This is where they say the word gola comes from. The word cola nut. You know what I mean? Gola and cola. I don't know the truth of it, but that's the rumor. But here are the territories. And these are, a depiction of some of these rivers that lead from the Niger River, back down to the sea. So on these rivers, you have all of these people who have something to do with, like I said, Phony Ngama. As you can see, the Gizzy, or Kizzy, next to Musadu, or Mano, uh, this was attacked by Phony Ngama, and he took a wife from the Kizzy, and basically took a pact with the Kizzy, and they had a son, Foley Wuba, Fali Wubo, Fali Wubo, I believe. Don't, I'm butchering his name. But the brother is the father of the Loma people. You know, he was an illegitimate son based on him being, from a slave woman, so quote unquote. So Falawubo being the outsider, he moved, created his own settlement, and and that was basically that. But all of these tribal peoples come out of Foningama. So for centuries, this rolling war. I wouldn't say centuries, but for decades, I would say, but this rolling war was happening because, one group of people would come and push another group of people to the side, and this group would have to, take over another territory, and it was just like a chain reaction happened when it came to conflict. And many people have been coming down into this territory for generations and generations, coming away from or breaking away from the empires, whether it be Ghana, Songhai, Ouagadougou, ancient Ghana, Mali, Songhai. But these people were always moving down into this area. So you had some people who were down there, and they were welcomed in by the Mal-speaking people, what they call the Kwa-speaking people. So they were down there and they were peaceful, they were farming and just living life. So when these elite militaristic type of people came, this Foningama's crowd, they came from the empire and they were basically soldiers, so they militarized the rest of these people, so Falawubo moved in and around the Mano area, and that's where you have the Loma homeland, and within that you have the Hondo, which was a confederation between these different ethnic groups. Where you may have the Bele, the Gola, the Mende, the Logo, the Bandi, Loma. All of these groups had something to do with this confederation, and even groups outside of the Southwest Mandi language structure, I believe, maybe. I'm not sure, but under it you see the Dogo. Dogo is linguistically the same word as logo. Phonetically it breaks down as the same word. Dogo, logo, which is a group of people who are related to the Mende. The local language is 90-something, but 93% intelligible with Mende. Bandi and Loco are also very close languages. I believe they're even more intelligible. So, the Bele, the Loma, all of these groups are related groups. Bele's closest language would be the Mende, the Mano, and the Day, I believe it is, or Gio. I believe it's Gio. Are the closest languages to Bele. So all of these languages are related. All of these peoples came out of these same circles, in and around Musadu, the Conian highlands. So all of these groups have something to do. This is why, being a DNA test taker, when you take these DNA tests and you come back Mende, you come back Timni, they have to put it. It takes extra time to get your results because these groups are so closely related. They have to put things back under the microscope. And truthfully speaking, these people are mostly the same people. outside of the Limba in these territories, genetically speaking, these people are the same. But they all have their own stories, and they all culturally and customarily, do things a little different. So that has to be respected, and but as you can see, these are the ancestors of these groups that we now call the Mende and the Timnis and Kono and Kizi, Ballet and Bandi. All of these groups, interrelated. So it's a fascinating thing to look into. The Epic of Musadu is what you guys can Google. You can probably get the full book, probably for free online. But if not, there's PDFs all over the place. The migration of the Kamara, even the Mani invasion also covers a lot of this stuff. So if you care to take a look at it, if you have Mende or any Tenni, any if you have any roots in Sierra Leone or Liberia, but please, like I said, if anybody has any other information, please feel free, jump in the inbox and let's talk about it. Thanks a lot.